Today I'm going to talk a little bit about monitoring the health of your rats and some of the things that we do to make sure that our rats are healthy. Now, I don't know if you can hear, Ellie has got a bit of a respiratory infection. She's making some noisy breathing. Now I want to monitor her weight, so good girl Ellie, sit on the scales. I have some digital scales here. Good girl, see how good they are, 277 grams. Is it Rice Krispie for being good? You want a sweetie? Good girl. She's really used to being weighed. So that was one thing that we do on a regular basis. I'm just going to write down on my list here. I have my little list. Now, Ellie has actually put on weight, which is amazing. I think that is the berry weight up. So, and that's a plus. So you see what we do here to monitor the weight. I have on the left hand side, I have the names of all the rats. The top I have the date, and then I have the actual weight in grams, and that is followed by a naught, a minus, or a plus sign. Now, I'm surprised Ellie's put on weight. She's been on doxycycline for a respiratory infection, and I'm guessing it is that I've been mixing it with the berry weight up from the rat warehouse, because Ellie's a very tiny little rat, and you can see when I weighed her on the 20th of March, she weighed 264 grams. The 3rd of April, she weighed 268 grams. And then today she weighed 277. Now normally if she was sick I would be expecting her to lose a little weight. You can see some rats like Lily, her weight has been the same the last 2 times that I have weighed her. None of these group of 1-year-olds are very big. They're not very heavy. Chloe and Ellie are quite small, although Chloe has increased her weight considerably. A few months ago she was 256 grams and she's now gone up to 310, so as you can see she's making progress. Now I'm not worried about Lily, hers has remained the same. Some of the rats, Daisy's put on just a few grams. I say that again is the berry weight up because I have to give the others a tiny spoonful as well, otherwise they feel left out. The same as Chloe. Amy is she has lost weight, it's only 6 grams, but she is also on antibiotics for respiratory infection, so I'm going to be weighing her in a minute, and you can see that if it was a big weight loss then it would be a major worry for me, but it's not too bad. And the other one, I'm a bit worried about Sophie. Her weight had gone down considerably. I mean, that doesn't look a lot, 304 grams from 316, but in a rat that's not showing any signs of illness and is eating, it's just something to keep an eye on. Now what we do regarding the weight is in baby rats and old rats and sick rats, we weigh them once a week. When they're fully grown and they're otherwise completely healthy, then we would only weigh them once a month, I would say. I'm just going to move the camera over to my little babies now till my other girls come back. Let's see who we've got in here. Who's that? That is little Sasha sitting there. We'll move this tripod up a bit and hopefully she'll come and see you. But really monitoring the health of your rats is something that you should do every single day. Now you'll know if you've watched some of my other health videos that I mention the signs of illness. If your rats are hunched up and their hair's puffed out, they have the discharge from their nose and their eyes, they're just not looking very happy. You need to, if you see a rat that is showing any signs of stress or pain, you need to take them out and give them a thorough check over. Now once a week we will check all our rats. Every day we look for signs of illness. If everyone is fine and quite happy, that's all you need to do. You know, you will see instantly if a rat is unwell or has an injury. But if a rat is not looking well, it's a good idea once a week to give them a thorough check out anyway, or say as soon as you see any signs, because sometimes it's not obvious what is wrong with your rats. especially if they've maybe had a little bite from one of the others, which we had with one of our rats a few years ago. They can develop infections which can get really bad, but you might not see it until the infection is quite bad and there's quite a big swelling on the body, especially if it's underneath. So what you need to do is, when you're doing your checks once a week, and if you think your rat's ill, obviously check eyes, ears, tails, hands and feet for any sign of injuries, and make sure everything looks clean and healthy. And have a look around the coat, and also feel for bite marks that can be the beginnings of infections, or little lumps and bumps which could be cysts or tumours. If you feel lots of little scabs, especially around the neck area and around the back, then have a look through the skin and see this could be mite infestation, which could have been caused by a change of circumstances or any sort of stress the rat has been under. Have a look at the teeth, make sure that they're not extending too far. Now, we would never recommend that you trimmed teeth or nails or anything yourself. Teeth really is a vet job for the vet. You need to know what you're doing, otherwise you can cause far too many problems for your rat yourself. Nails, we find that rats will trim them themselves. They will actually chew their nails, and if you provide a rough stone or a brick in the cage, that helps them to keep their nails in trim. Just make sure that you pick anything off the beach or from the garden, that you thoroughly scrub it and leave it to dry before you put it into the cage. You don't want to add any bacteria or germs or anything from, you know, wild rodents, bring in any bacterias and things. So if you're picking up stones and bricks, then I would either get you can sometimes buy them new, garden centres and things, but even then I would still bring them home, scrub them with hot soapy water and rinse them and leave them to dry. Get yourself a pair of little digital scales like the ones that we've used. I mean, these are just the James Martin ones, very easy to use, just a few pounds. Keep a separate pair of scales just for your rats, and I say, you know, weigh them if necessary. Keep a record of the weight, look and see whether that weight is going up and down, because that's often an indication. One of the first signs of illness is actually the weight going down. Check that your rats are not looking dehydrated. If they're looking shrunken in or they're excessively thirsty, can be a sign of kidney problems. And, you know, really daily observe and handle your rats. Get to know what your rats look like when they're fit and healthy. Like little Sasha here, she's looking a bit sleepy because she's just been woken up by the big rats, 1-year-olds rattling her cage. So she is sleepy, but she's been jumping about quite happily. So look for changes in behaviour though. There's little Bethy there. Little Beth, they're coming out in a minute. They're getting on really well. So yeah, just monitor them and get to know. I mean, listen for things like breathing noises, like I don't know how well the camera picked up Ellie's noises, but she is getting better now. She's on antibiotics, but just be aware of if they're making noises when they're breathing, it's most likely to be respiratory tract infection, could possibly be the mycoplasmosis. Also, if a rat is sneezing a lot, it may not be an infection, it could be a dust allergy if you're not using paper bedding. And we did actually have some safe bed that was really dusty and caused Sasha to sneeze really badly, and that's really unusual for the safe bed. So we had to shake all the paper out and before we gave it to Sasha, and she seems to be okay again now. So really just, you know, get to know your rats, monitor them, weigh them, keep records so you have something to go back on and look at and you can instantly see. Keep a record of, we keep a folder which shows a receipt from the vet every time that they've had medicines, so that we have a record of who's had antibiotics and when. And really, prevention is better than cure. If you can pick up illnesses before they get severe, it saves a lot of pain and suffering for the rat, and it makes it easier to keep them healthy.